I want you to ask yourself a very important question. If you met the people in your life today, being the version of who you are right now, with the knowledge that you have right now, would you choose to start a relationship with them? And if the answer is no, then why are they still in your life? Hi, my name is Jade. Welcome to my channel. I'm currently making this video because I have cut a lot of people off in the past year and a half of my life. Since I cut these people off, I have watched my life become completely different. I've watched my dreams come true. I've watched manifestations that I've been wanting for so long come into fruition. I've also developed healthy relationships in place of the relationships that I was holding on to. It didn't make any sense in retrospect, but in the moment, I understand why I held on to a lot of these relationships. It's because part of me was not healed. It's because these relationships were triggering a part of me that needed attention. And I think when we have these people in our lives that show us the growth that we need to make, because, people really are mirrors to us. So the people in your life are mirroring you, whether it's your unconscious behaviors or something that you may be proud of, something that you don't like about yourself. Either way, the people in your life will always be a mirror to who you are. And so oftentimes when we see these people in our lives that we do not feel like we deserve, there's often something rooted within us that needs healing, and this person is just exposing that to you. And once they've exposed what you need to heal, what is the purpose of keeping them around? What purpose are they serving in your life after you've learned everything you need to learn? Because it comes to a point where you're learning from someone versus when they're just taking from you. A lot of times we experience these relationships, especially when it comes to our family and our very close-knit relationships. So say our best friend, our long-term partner, and these are usually long-term partner or childhood friends, someone that you've probably outgrown. And it's really hard to say goodbye to people that you've outgrown because there's a bond there. You still care about this person, oftentimes regardless of how horribly they've treated you. That's where self-worth comes in. You really have to understand your self-worth, your boundaries, and your values in order to be stern about the people that you allow into your life. Because a weak person will be friends with anyone. Once I came to the realization that the people in my life no longer aligned with who I am, I had to cut a lot of people off. I had to grieve the loss of a lot of relationships. For a phase of my life, that meant one of my parents. In this phase of my life, it means my grandparents, some aunts and uncles. It means I've distanced myself from my childhood friends. I've left a relationship. I left actually a few relationships that weren't serving me. And within this past year and a half, I think it kind of hit the hardest because I moved over 2,000 miles away from everything that I knew. I was born and raised on the East Coast. I now live in Arizona, and I'm very far from all of my family, all of what I would consider a safety net for myself. So the first kind of relationship that I want to dive in is probably one of the more important relationships that we experience in our lifetime, which is familial relationships, which is going to be the people that raised us. I'm talking about the relationships that we were experiencing from the ages of 5 and below. I'm talking about those people, the people that have been in your life for as long as you can remember. These relationships, in my opinion, can be the hardest relationships to let go of because you didn't choose this relationship. You were kind of just given it, and it's very comfortable. It's what you know. It's also what is unconsciously ingrained in your brain. The relationships that you make below the age of 5 are the relationships that shape you into the person that you are now. These are the relationships that give you the trauma that you have to heal from. But one thing I can tell you is, unfortunately, actually not unfortunately, one thing that I can tell you is you're gonna have to be okay with letting go of some of the relationships that were given to you at birth. If you're watching this video, you might relate to me a little bit, but I've always been the black sheep of my family. I'm also the only person in my family that has made it out of a tiny little small town that I live in, and I'm also one of the only people in my family who actually has a good head on my shoulders. So, especially if you're coming from a situation like how I come from, it's difficult. As you become an adult and you get your own viewpoints and you have your own perspective, you're going to quickly realize that it does not match up with everyone who was in your life before. And if you clicked on this video, then that means you're probably thinking about cutting someone off that's close to you. And I just wanted to say, if it's someone in your family, don't feel bad. Because if you wouldn't choose to have that person in your life if you met them now, then they really have no business being in your life at all. What I could tell you about my family is I don't agree with the way a lot of them are living their lives. So they're not in my life. Simple as that. I've had to become okay with letting go of those relationships with people that I love so deeply, but who make bad decisions for their lives, who their bad decisions have affected my life. I'm also not saying you have to cut someone off forever. There was definitely a period in my life where I wasn't talking to my stepdad because I wasn't agreeing with the decisions that he made, and he started making different decisions. And so I wanted him in my life again. You know, sometimes someone's behaviors is only a reflection of where they are. It's not a reflection of who they are all of the time. But either way, regardless, if someone's behaviors are making you feel a certain way, you have to worry about where you are. You have to worry about what's important to you. And what's important to me is how I feel. What's important to me is my peace and my sanity. And if people are going to be disturbing that, then I don't care who you are. You gotta go. You get to choose the people in your life. You know that, right? You don't have to put up with people's bullcrap if you don't want to. You don't have to let people's negativity get to you. That's a choice of your own. You can choose to never talk to someone again, and you will never have to deal with their bullshit again. Isn't that nuts that if you just choose that you're done with someone, that you can actually just be done with their bullshit? When I came here, it was a little bit of a rude awakening for me. I had moved here and I was dating this guy, and I don't want to say I moved here for him because there was a lot of reasons that I moved here. One being I had an opportunity to stay with my parents while they were on a business trip for 6 months and establish a life out here. So even though he wasn't the sole reason I moved here, he did play a big part into why I felt so at home here. I was dating this guy that I had knew from my hometown when I first moved here, and it was supposed to be like a love story fairy tale sort of thing, like 10 years later. So my relationship with this guy started developing as I started traveling here, and as I decided I wanted to live here. I eventually ended up creating a home here, getting the apartment where I live now, and my parents eventually left because, like I said, they were here on business for a temporary time. So as I started my life alone here in Arizona, I got cheated on. This guy that I trusted a lot, this guy that I wanted to create a future with, cheated on me. And when that happened, I actually had no one. Well, I mean, I had people. Yes, of course, I had my mom, my dad, but I didn't feel like I had a community. I didn't feel like I had friends or anyone, and I didn't. I just moved to a new city. I didn't know anyone except this guy that I was dating, and it turned out that he cheated on me. So really, I was alone. And I was alone in this apartment for many nights, by myself, sad. My whole life felt like it was falling apart. I felt like I didn't have anyone, and that's probably because no one in my life matched up with who I am or who I was becoming. Yeah, I had to spend a lot of those nights alone, being sad in a place I was unfamiliar with, and I still chose to leave that man. Because I'd rather be alone than mistreated. I'd rather be lonely than disrespected. Let me say that one more time. I'd rather be lonely than disrespected. And so there I was. Lonely, but at least no one was disturbing my peace. Lonely, but at least no one was ruining my happiness. Until I didn't care about how lonely I was. Until I didn't care that people in my family, I didn't talk to them anymore. Where I didn't care that the friends that I once made didn't have anything in common with me anymore. To where I didn't care about being alone. I just started being okay with being alone. And when I tell you, being okay with being alone was the most freeing experience that I have ever had. Because guess what? Now I know if I'm sad, I have a shoulder right here to cry on. I used to think I needed these people because of what they were doing for me. Oh, I needed to be with this guy because his friends were my friends and their girlfriends were my friends and I didn't have any friends, so I needed him, right? No, because guess what? Now I'm in a whole new relationship where I get treated so well and I have my own friends now. Now I have a community of people here that I have chosen not out of desperation, but because I genuinely like them. Now, the community here that I've chosen for myself was not out of comfort. It wasn't out of uncertainty. It wasn't out of fear. I didn't get all of these people in my life because I was scared to get rid of the other people. No. The reason I got all of these people in my life is because I cut so many people out of my life. That's the reason that they were replaced with better people. Once I started getting rid of the people who were deteriorating my energy, when I started distancing myself from the people who didn't make me feel good after I conversated with them, once I created that room and space, I was then able to pour my energy into different relationships. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you're gonna have to get over being lonely. Because being lonely is not the worst thing that you could be. I tell you, being mistreated, being disrespected, being walked all over, having someone who doesn't consider how you feel, that's so much worse than being lonely. When we're talking about romantic relationships, you're just gonna have to get validation from yourself or something. You're gonna just have to learn how to be okay alone. You're just gonna have to. Because if you're not okay with being alone, then I don't think you're ever gonna actually wait for what you deserve. I think you're just gonna keep settling for whatever comes next. I think that when I decided, yeah, I'm in a city where I know no one. I am across the country, over 2,000 miles away from where I grew up, away from all of my friends, and I'm choosing to leave that guy. And I'm choosing to stay here. And I'm choosing to prove to myself that I'm worthy of healthy relationships. I'm choosing to prove to myself that I am worthy of love. I'm worthy of experiencing life with someone in a healthy way. And I think when you really come to that realization, that's when you're gonna be like, okay, I'm not dealing with your shit anymore. Because I don't have to. I don't have to deal with some guy that's talking down on me, which, by the way, I did in the past. Since we're on the topic of romantic relationships right now, we'll just go back, like, I don't even know, to when I was 22. When I tell you, like, I am a master at cutting people off who don't deserve me, I was living with this man. I had a condo. I had 3 months left on my lease. I quit my job and I said goodbye. Because he was not talking to me the way that I deserved to be talked to. He was not treating me the way I deserved to. So why would I stay? I paid those 3 months of rent while I wasn't working. Instead, I traveled for 3 months. I don't really know, looking back, how I made it work out, but the universe made it work out for me. So instead of spending those 3 months finishing the lease out, living there with my ex, someone who I despised, someone who showed their true colors and I didn't like who they were anymore. When I moved here, I felt a different sense of loneliness. I felt quiet. No one texted me, not even like my family, or like I didn't know anyone, so not even like childhood friends weren't like, hey, you wanna go out? No, I didn't have any of that. I was alone. And I sat here being alone until I met people that were worthy of having in my life. I'm so happy that I let go of that old relationship that I was in, because it was then replaced with the most amazing girl that I could have ever asked for, but I wasn't looking for, that I didn't know I needed. But when I left him, she was just kind of magically placed into my lap and has been the most healing person that I have ever been in a relationship with. And if I never left that guy, I would have never met her. You block these amazing relationships off when you direct your energy towards something that you don't even want. I stayed a little bit longer with that guy than I probably should have. I was terrified when I found out he cheated on me. I left eventually. It took me a second to get strong enough to leave him, to realize that I was going to be alone here in Arizona and that I wasn't going to have anyone. It took me a minute to get strong enough to do that. And if you're in that phase where you're gaining strength to cut someone off, or you're gaining strength to define boundaries in your relationship, then that's okay. Speaking of boundaries, sometimes that's all a relationship needs. The point of this video isn't to tell you to cut everyone off, because that's not the solution. That is not the solution. There's certain relationships that are worth saving. There are, I promise you that. The relationship that I have with my mom and my dad, are my parents perfect people? No. Do they really care about how I feel and how what they do affects me? Yes. So those are people that I want in my life. Sometimes I have to have different boundaries with those relationships than I would others. And that's okay. But that's what I'm saying, is like sometimes you do have to have boundaries on the relationships that you have in your life. Now, I have friends that I love them so much, God bless them. They are a hot mess. But they're still good people. And they still genuinely care about me. So maybe this relationship, I want to keep it, but I want to add a lot of boundaries on it. So these friends that are a hot mess, maybe I don't go out and get intoxicated with them, because when they get intoxicated, it's just too much. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's certain boundaries that you can place on relationships in your life to save them before you try to cut these people off. Because I'm not saying cutting people off will solve all of your problems. I'm not saying go cut everyone off and just restart over. No, don't do that. I want you to deep dive into every single relationship that you have and understand whether it's a relationship that is worth putting in the effort to fix it or not. And if it's not, cut them off. But if it is, you need to figure out what you need for yourself. You need to figure out what kind of boundaries you need to place in this relationship, and you need to figure out how can you turn this relationship into something that's positive. That's your job. At the end of the day, I'm making this video to tell you that if the people in your life are not serving you, it is okay to let go of those relationships. There's nothing wrong with that, and it does not matter who that person is to you. I might not have a situation, but if my mom was a person who did not care about my mental health and my mental well-being and my emotions, and she didn't respect me, then I'm sorry, I just wouldn't have her in my life. But my mom is someone who cares, so she is in my life. Can I say that we've always had that good of a relationship? No, my mom's been in really tough points in her life where it has affected our relationship, where we did have to have more boundaries placed on our relationship in order for it to be healthy. But placing those boundaries on our relationship 4 or 5 years ago have turned me and my mom into the best of friends that we are now. So the goal of this video isn't to tell you to cut everyone off. It's to tell you to really look into the relationships that you have in your life and decide how can you either 1, eliminate them, or 2, fix them. Because the relationships in your life are a reflection of who you are. And you are a reflection of the people that you hang out with the most. Now, if you're surrounding yourself by all of these people who you don't agree with, then that you got to do some deep diving within yourself. Because if someone is treating you in a way that you don't like, and you keep allowing them to do that, that's your fault. That's your fault. If a man cheats on you and you keep going back to him and he keeps cheating on you, that's your fault. I want you to really be aware of the people that you allow into your life and how their energy will affect you. I want you to be very, very, very smart with your decisions on who you allow into your life, because your energy is important. Your time is important too. The time that you spend on the relationships you are not going to get back. You're never going to be able to find more of your time. That is the most valuable thing on this planet, is your time, because it is never coming back. And so I want you to be very aware of where you're allowing your time to go and who you're allowing your time to go to. I want you to think of your time like it's a currency. And you tell me, is placing your time in these relationships going to be a good thing for you? Or are you just going to run out of time and never receive anything back from these relationships? I want you to be really, really real with yourself. After watching this video, you're going to have to sit down and it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. Go do what you got to do. I know you have that one person in your mind right now. I know you do. I know you have that one person in your mind that you're like, it's not sitting well with me. After everything she just said, I really think I might have to cut them off. Don't think about it anymore. Go cut them off. Stand up for what you deserve. Give yourself what you deserve and don't tolerate anything less. Because the minute you start settling is the minute that you are closing doors for the blessings that you have coming for you. The relationship that you could be blocking from yourself from staying where you are, you're going to be really sad if you miss out on that. Because what I could tell you is I'd be really sad if I missed out on the relationship that I'm currently in because I was too scared to leave the relationship that I was in prior to this. I could tell you I will be missing a lot. Just know that you are your biggest obstacle. And you're the reason that you're probably not receiving all of the blessings that you deserve. It's time to clear out the closet. It's time to make space for what's new. And yeah, maybe you'll have a void. Maybe you'll have a hole there for a little bit. But I promise you it won't be long until you get what you actually deserve. Because when you stop tolerating the bullshit, that's your message to the universe saying, yeah, no more of that. I'm ready for what I deserve. So what I want you to do after watching this video is prepare space in your life for what you really deserve. Prepare space, get excited, make room for your blessings to come through. Because if you're looking in your life and you're not seeing the things that you want to come true, or you're not seeing the things that you want to happen come to life, they don't have room to come to life. Spring cleaning, babe. I know it's summertime, but it's time to do some spring cleaning. You might be a little bit late. It's summer already. Get the skeletons out of the closet. Get the people who aren't serving you out of the way. That way you can actually establish relationships that will serve you. Thank you for giving me your time and watching this video, and hopefully you can relate to a lot of the things that I said. Just know that you are worthy, you are strong, you're beautiful, and anything in you telling you otherwise is bullshit. Don't listen to your fear anymore. You know what you deserve. Do not get clouded with any other emotions. You know in your heart what you deserve. Make room for what you deserve to come in, and it'll show up. I love you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.